there's not a ton of current, but you can see the coal starts kind of dancing because it's so long and noodly. The water kind of starts making it like oscillate. So I'm trying to put pressure down on it so it will stay still and not clank around on the rocks.
The tribe reacquired Chankawan in 2016, and I like to say reacquired because the Santiam band of the Kalapuya were here since time immemorial. European settlement happened in the 1850s, and the North Santiam was settled for farming as well as timber production. Those folks were pushed out of this area, and 150 plus years later, we get to kind of reclaim this space that's so important to landscape connection and connection to place for the tribe.
Being here with so many of our Grand Ronde people in this amazing restoration property was an absolute gift today. The old saying goes, there's fishing and there's catching, and both are good. And so today we fished. We didn't catch, but we will, right? This is our first time in a while coming back to this property, and so we need to relearn it. It needs to learn us, and there are so many opportunities on this river. But there's all kinds of off-channel habitat and backwaters here, and we really can't wait to get out here and really explore this and learn to fish it. It just holds so much promise. It's really exciting. Right, we have different dip nets of different lengths, different hoop sizes, and we just try to figure that out one step at a time, right? What's going to work best here? Do you need the long reach of that extra long pole? And sometimes you do. We were trying that here, and it seemed to work pretty well. Of course, it's really long, and managing that length is certainly challenging for me, but it's just even awkward. Like the people who are spotting you in terms of being, tied off, you got to make sure you're not, whacking your partner there when you're trying to maneuver. So I think, again, that's going to be a big, fun part of learning this site. The other thing we talked about is there are other traditional methods, right, that we know our ancestors use, small fish traps or setting a net, leaving it there for a while, checking it regularly. Those are all traditional approaches, and a site like this, I think, is going to give us the opportunity to try a lot more of those traditional techniques that just wouldn't work at such a huge whitewater site like Tumwater.
When conservation properties such as Chankawan come into the tribe's portfolio, they're usually neglected pieces of land, meaning that they haven't had a lot of active management on them, and so invasive species tend to set up shop. This particular site had some timber harvest conducted, and replanting was not completed. Properties like this, they kind of come in neglected, where they've had trash dumps, trespassing, vandalism, and it's a pretty big lift for us to restore it to historic conditions to the degree possible. This particular site was largely floodplain forest, and we desire to replant as much of that forest as we can, as well as sort of opening up some of those side channels and back channels to allow for more fish habitat. We're standing here, there's a lot of woody stobs from, the blackberry, from Scotch broom, and we'd really love to take, in the next year or two, kind of work those through, plant some native grasses, and create this really really comfortable space for encampments, for ceremony, for any sort of purposes that folks want to come out and stay a couple nights on the river and fish and celebrate.